Okay, welcome everybody. It's fortuitous that so many people came in person today who didn't even realize that the Zoom was down. And here we are. Okay, it's nice. Nice to have everybody here. So we're in the middle of Torah Chaf Gimel 23 in the first section of Likutei Moharan. And we can do a short recap, not too big. But the main themes of this portion in the Likutei Moharan so far are that we are looking for the Or HaPanim, which is the illuminated face of Hashem, and we want to exist as people who receive the illumination from the face of Hashem, and we want to have, as a result of that, live in a world where our face illuminates and is a source of light and godliness and positivity in the world. And so we have this inyan of us, and this is connected to Simcha. We can only have such a thing when we have Simcha, and we saw this from Psukim. But then we know that there's the illuminated face of Hashem, which represents, of course, living connected and living with Emunah, living where we feel that we're with Hashem, where we see the world through Hashem-colored glasses. We're looking for Hashem, we're feeling Hashem, we're seeing Hashem, we're having relationships with people that are based in holiness. And when we live like this, there's a certain illumination to life that we experience. And it's connected to Simcha. We're happy. We're living with happiness. Mashen Kain, there's a panim of the evil side also. There's a face of the evil side. The panim shel sitra achra, which is anpin chashuchin, dark faces. Mara shachora and atzvus, sadness, and melancholy, what they call sorrow. And this is what happens when we don't engage in these things to bring us to bring us close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to live with Emunah. So we said one of the main things that pulls us down in this realm, and everybody knows it, is our relationship with money. And the way that we connect to and deal with money is something that can either be a source of illumination, like we're saying, or can mamish pull us down into bad places, right? Whether it's in the realm of lusting for material things and shopping and buying and desiring and overspending, and it occurs to me that we didn't mention it, but Rabbi Nachman says very strongly that it's really, really important that we don't go into debt. We should not be in debt, because debt is just something that I like to qualify this. I'm not sure if he would agree or not, but I like to qualify by saying that, okay, you have to have a mortgage. At least you have to have something to have a house. Okay, maybe that's just the way you acquire a house, right? But living in debt means that I'm attached to money in such a negative way that it's not even related to my present. It's not even related to me in the now, right? So I spent money on things that I wasn't yet supposed to have, and that I shouldn't have. I went beyond my means for the most part, okay? I'm not saying in an emergency someone has to go, it's not what I'm saying. But I spent above my means for things that I really, probably in retrospect, will allow myself to understand that I didn't need. And so now the debts are piling up and the bills are piling up. And now I have a negative relationship to money. And I'm feeling the pressure of all those bills coming in. And I don't even have anything to show for it today. I'm not even using it right now. It's outside of my present moment existence, and it's just a pull that's pulling me down, right? So Rabbi Nachman says it's much more emunadik to just Hashem gives me the money that I have, so I should just use it to get what I need. And if I don't have enough money, okay, that's not meant for me, right? Once again, I'm not talking about emergency situations where we have to borrow money for emergency situations. The roof caves in, right? Maybe you have to borrow money. Someone has a health scare crisis, they need help. Okay, you have to borrow money.
You need a vacation.
What?
You need a vacation. Maybe
sometimes. Maybe sometimes. So this is the negative pull of money, and it's removed from emuna. It's removed from the present moment, and it's just a place of negativity and despair. So this connection, so a negative relationship to money connects us to this darkened face of sadness and sorrow. It's very obvious, all of this stuff. And on the other hand, we see that you have the idea of working in masa matan, which is usually the word used for business, be'emuna. And when a person works with their money in a way of emuna, especially in business with emuna, and does things honestly and properly, and doesn't try to cheat the system, and doesn't try to, such a person is misake and is fixing this inyan, will be connected to the orapanim, to the lit up face of Hashem, will be living a life of emuna, will not be dragged down and bound to the negativity that comes from money. Then we said that this is also connected to the concept of intimacy, really, and shmiras habris. And we saw this in a few places. Also connected to the concept of the covenant of salt. We have the bris of the regular bris that a baby boy gets, which is a covenant, a connection to Hashem, a loyalty connection to Hashem. And then we have the covenant of the salt, which we spoke about in the past. And we see that the Gemara brings the idea of salt in relation to a healthy relationship with money. It says if you want to have a lot of money, so salt it, right? Meaning what? Take it away. Mamon chaser. How do you salt? How do you salt your money? The Gemara asks. Meaning, what they used to use salt to preserve. So how do you preserve your money? An answer is chaser. Remove it. Meaning, don't keep the money that's not meant for you. Give tzedakah, right? Live with money in a healthy way, in an amunadik way, and then you'll have what you need. Your money will be preserved. So in that Gemara, salt, melach, is kind of like the connective word for the healthy relationship with money. And melach is also connected, is a bris, is one of the covenants. The covenant of the salt. Do you remember the story of the salt? That the waters split, and the lower waters were upset. How come we have to stay down here and you guys get to go way up to the upper spiritual realms? And Hashem said, don't worry, you're going to have an eternal covenant of the salt in the salt water. And so that's why we have salt on our table at every meal. So our table is like a shulchan, like an altar, right? It's this eternal covenant of the salt. Every korban in the Beis HaMikdash had salt attached to it, right? So bris, again, covenant. A solid, emuna, loyal relationship with Hashem is connected to salt as well. So salt is the thing that connects money and bris together. It's the thing that binds money and bris together to show us that these two things are really, like we said, the same thing. And what do we see? How do people experience downfalls nowadays? Where do we see it? Everywhere we look. All the celebrities, all the politicians, even not, some rabbis too, right? Doesn't matter how religious they are, how not religious they are. We saw on Monday, right? I mean, in our Monday class, we were talking about it, right? That doesn't matter. Through getting into negative relationships with money or negative relationships with intimacy with the opposite gender, people get pulled down. Like I don't know how much we could probably bring an example every day from the news of this, I would assume, almost. Right? These things, there's something about them that they just pull us into negativity if we don't deal with them in a healthy way, right? So, in the simplest form, we got to work on these things and be strong with them and live with emunah with them. Put in effort to deal with money and to deal with matters of intimacy in a healthy way, in a spiritually healthy way, in a halachatic way. And if we do that, it's gonna make a tikkun. And then we're gonna see other things also. So we're gonna be starting now on page 28.
You said before
Yeah.
mesaken, but is that mesaken?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, because the second is in danger.
Right. With a saf,
Right.
not a samech. Yeah.
Right.
Musakin, metakin. Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we don't want to do that. Right. Okay, and we saw this also. Where else did we see from the Gemara that you can see that our relationship with man and woman can be either something that is tremendously positive and powerful, or tremendously negative and can pull us down. We said that there's this Gemara that says when a person would get married, they would ask him, matzah or moitza. Remember this? Matzah or moitza. So there's one pasuk that says, matzah isha, matzah toiv. I found a wife, I found goodness. So that's one type of relationship. The other one is, let me get the lashon right. Where does he say it? It's does he say it here? Anyway, it says, Moitza ani ha'isha mar mimavis. I find this woman, Moitza ani mar mimavis es ha'isha. I find this wife that I have to be more bitter than death. Right? So the relationship can be everyone laughs when they hear these two things. So it's funny. It is funny, and it sounds funny, and it's meant to be slightly humorous, even in the Gemara, as far as I'm concerned. But what it's telling us is not just a joke. It's telling us that this relationship could be totally amazing. It could be really spiritually positive, and it could be the center of a person's entire life, or it can be worse than death. Yeah, exactly. And so these things are connected. They're very connected. Okay, so now we're on page 28. We're going to talk now. So we have to work on these things. That's the simple and difficult message. We have to work hard on these things. But Rabbi Nachman is going to tell us something, and we have to work on them with simcha. That's one of the key things that he said earlier. Has to be with simcha. If not, it will not work. So we're saying now there's another thing that really is a big inyan in this. That's going to help us a lot. Mezeh bechinas mezuzah. This is also an aspect of the mezuzah. Ki issa b'medrash. Lama nikra shman mezuzah. Why is money called zuzah? Everybody remembers by Pesach? Chad Gadya, right? The Asyan Abba betrei zuzah. That Abba sold for 2 zuzim. Right?
So
Yeah.
like is it also in the wedding contract when
Yes.
he buys her first
Yeah. Zuzim is it's an ancient monetary currency. It's not so current, but it's a currency. So lama nikra shman zuzeh. Why are zuzim called zuzim? Why are they called this for money? Because they move from one person to another. Right? This is what currency is. Currency is something that changes hands. Right? It goes from one person to another, and it's the whole purpose is that it can be exchanged. So that's why money in this ancient language is called zuzim, because it moves. Zuz, zaz, lazuz is the Hebrew word to move. Right? So, but if you look at the word mezuzah, it has right in the middle of it, or mezuzot, it has right in the middle of it the word zuz. Right? What's the story? What's the idea? So, before we go any farther in this, I just want to tell you some amazing Torah from Rabbi Rosenfeld, who was the Rebbe of Rav Nosson Maimon and of Rav Chaim Kramer, and who was an unbelievable, amazing, gigantic Talmud Chacham who had a close relationship and learning with Rav Moshe Feinstein, with the Lubavitcher Rebbe, he was a hidden tzaddik to an unbelievable level. He knew the entire Torah back and forward at the tips of his fingers. It was he remained completely humble and completely hidden, basically his whole life. And he lived in America, and he taught school. He taught he was a rabbi in a synagogue for a while, but he taught students in yeshiva, and he taught both girls and boys. And his whole life he wore a short sleeve button up shirt, totally clean shaven. He looked like a school teacher, and he was very, very close with the biggest tzaddikim in Yerushalayim, And he asked one time his Rebbe, Rav Avram Sternhartz, whose Rav Noson's name is Sternhartz, a direct descendant of Rav Noson, and through all of the biggest lines of the tzaddikim of Breslov. And he asked him, should I start changing my look? Maybe I should move to Eretz Yisrael. Maybe I should start to, maybe now I can grow my beard. And so Rav Avram Sternhardt said to him, living in Yerushalayim and wearing, the traditional clothing and having a long beard, he said, this is Kodesh, this is holy. But what you're doing over there is Kodesh Kedoshim. It's the holiest of the holies. Because he was reaching out, and there's a whole community of people that were his students that all made Aliyah together. Teres Yisrael. It's amazing. He had tremendous influence on people in an amazing way. Anyway, he also knew the Kabbalistic texts backwards and forwards. So these are just some of the things that he pointed out about this inyan of mezuzah. So first of all, if you take the word mezuzah and you, one of the aspects of mezuzah is, how you hear all these stories. If someone is having health problems, something bad is happening, you say, go check the mezuzahs. Right? So why? Because if you have good mezuzahs, it's not supposed to happen. Meaning what? That the mezuzah is supposed to chase away negativity, it's supposed to chase away health problems, it's supposed to chase away death. Right? So look at the word in your mind, mezuzot. So on either end, you have a mem and a taf, which is the word mace, which means death. And in the middle, you have zuz. Right? Meaning, it moves away death. The mezuzah moves away death. Mezuzah. The other thing you see is that, which we're going to come to soon, but this whole Torah is also about avodah zarah. How the opposite, right, the negative relationship with money. We didn't say this yet, did we? Oh, it's like the main thing, right? We missed it in our recap, but this inyan of taivas mammon, especially nowadays, it's very obvious, is avodah zarah. It's idol worship. So too, we see that messing around in that other area is also considered like avodah zarah. With money, it's pretty. It's very obvious. People put all their trust in money. They even write it on their money, and they right, yeah, and it becomes such a desire, such a pull, such a necessity. People do anything for it. People lie, cheat, steal, and kill for money, right? It becomes an avodah zarah. It becomes an idol worship if it's used in this negative way. Anyway, it's avodah zarah, and avodah zarah is the epitome of sheker, of falsehood, of lies. Right? Just in an obvious way. Hashem is the truth. Hashem is emes. And Hashem's shlita in the world is emes. As soon as we start ascribing power to something else, it's sheker. It's the opposite of emes. Everybody agrees, right? Very simple. So take a look again in your mind at the word mezuzot. Right? So what do you have? You have a mem and you have a taf at the end. And in the middle, you have Zayin Vav, Zayin Vav. If you add up Zayin Vav and Zayin Vav, what do you get? You get Zayin is 7, Vav is 6, 13. 13 plus 13 is 26. 26 is the gematria of the Shem Hashem, Yud Kei Vav Kei. But in addition to that, that's first of all very awesome, right? What? Meaning, what?
She's asking if it's hard.
26, that's 32. 26, close. 26 is the name of Hashem. Already you see something amazing. That like we said before, that the mezuzah zuzes away death. Also, you can have death on the outside and Hashem on the inside. Right? But let's take it one step further. Where else do you see 26 and Hashem? Not just the Yud Kei Vav Kei name, which is Gematria 26. You also see another name for Hashem is the Alufo Shel Olam. Ani Alufo Olam. Aluf means like a general, an awesome guy, a master, a leader, whatever, right? So the letter Aleph is a special letter. Think about now, picture in your mind the letter Aleph. What is the letter Aleph made up of? It's made up of a Vav going this way, and a Yud over here, and a Yud up here. Yud is 10, and Vav is 6. it's 26. So 26 is the name of Hashem, and we say, why do you see that letter Aleph, which is the name of Hashem, also the Alufo Shel Olam, is 26? Because we say, and we say, Chos Meshel HaKadosh Baruch Hu Emes. The signature of Hashem is truth, is Emes, right? You still with me? So now what do we have? We have in the middle of the mezuzah, we have Zayin Vav, which is 26, which makes an Aleph. And we have at the end of the mezuzah, and we have at the beginning of the mezuzah the Mem, and we have at the end of the mezuzah the Taf. Put all those three letters together, and we have Emes. The mezuzah is a sign of Emes. It's like the seal of Hashem, of truth, is on our house. It zuzes away death. It Hashem's away death. It's built into the letters of mezuzah are the inyan of truth, the idea of truth. Totally awesome. Totally awesome. So, yeah. So this is what a mezuzah is all about. A mezuzah is like a protection against all of this garbage that we're talking about. It's a protection against avodah zarah. It's a protection against taivas mamon. It's a protection against pagam in the area of bris. Right? It's a powerful, strong thing. And it's why, in so many ways, no matter what's going on, one of the things that people say, especially big tzaddikim, they're like, there's something wrong with the mezuzah. Right? There's something wrong. And you see, very often, these things come out, and it was like, there was a certain letter missing. Remember the thing with Rabbi Grossman? I think you just posted it to me, didn't you? Yeah, that his daughter's eye, she had eye problems, she couldn't see. Long story short, Lubavitcher Rebbe, that wasn't the one? Oh, okay. Long story short, the Lubavitcher Rebbe told them to check the mezuzah. From Crown Heights, he called back to their house in Eretz Yisrael. B'shas Ma'aseh, at that time, they changed the mezuzah, and she had been just to see like a big doctor in a famous doctor in New York, and they were like, we're not sure what's going to be, and it's whatever, and they changed the mezuzah. They found that one of the letters that was missing was in the letter Bein Einecha, your eyes, in the mezuzah. They changed the mezuzah. By the time he went to go and see his daughter again, her vision was already almost completely clear, and nothing had happened. Like physically, I'm saying, right? And many of these types of things happen with stories with mezuzahs. There's a lot of body parts mentioned in the parshas of mezuzah. Bein Einecha, right? And you have Al Yadecha, also on your hands, and right, a lot of interesting things. Okay, anyway, so we see there's tremendous power in the inyan of mezuzah. There's another amazing aspect, which I'm not sure if I want to explain exactly right now. Let's hold off for now. Remind me that when I have the time I'm missing some notes that have this material in it that I don't want to make a mistake with. But to talk about the land of Israel and what's the mezuzah of the land of Israel. There's something that's the mezuzah of the land of Israel. Okay? We'll see it. We'll check it out. Maybe after the shir, if we have time, we'll get into it. So this is the next step, mezuzah. Mezeh v'haya shakai betzarecha. And this is what the pasuk means, and it shall be that the name of Hashem, called Shin Daled Yud, which we don't like to pronounce it, so we say Shakai, will be your treasure. Shakai v'haya shakai b'tzarecha. Hainu, al yedei mezuzah, through the inyan of mezuzah, v'chesef toy afos lach. The rest of that pasuk is, money will fly to you. So, what does the name Shakai have to do with the mezuzah? If you look on your mezuzah, you'll see that the name written on the outside of the mezuzah is this name, Shin Dalet Yud. It's the name of Hashem. It's one of the names of Hashem. Hashem Shakai. So, through this inyan of Shakai Bitzarecha on your door, then Mechesev Toyafos Lach, then money's going to fly to you. Al Yedei Zeh Parnasasoy Me'oifefes Lach. Your money will fly into your hand. Ki Shakai Hu Bechinas Bris, because the name of Hashem, Shakai, Shin Dalet Yud, is the name of Hashem that's connected to this inyan of bris, of relationship between man and woman. How do you see such a thing? Right? Pasuk says in Bereshis, when it says this name, it says, Ani kel shakai, I am this name, Perei urvei. That's where it gives the command to be fruitful and multiply. right in the same commandment for man and woman to be together physically, to produce children, is this name. This is the name of purity and spirituality and wholeness and holiness in the man-woman relationship, is this name. So first of all, it's on the mezuzah, and second, and it's through that your money is going to come to you. And how do we see that? How are all these three things connected now still? Wherever you find this idea of avodah zarah with desire for money, you're going to find the avodah zarah of illicit relationships. And when they come together, right here with the mezuzah, Shin Daled Yud is right there for us to look at every single day, and to remind us and to put us into this space of holiness and wholeness. And this is what Chazal say in the Talmud Yerushalmi, she'aseres hadibros heim b'kriyas Shema, that the 10 commandments are, you're able to see them within the kriyas Shema that we say. V'dibur lo sachmoed keneged uchsavtam al mezuzos. So we don't. First of all, I don't have it in front of me, but the Talmud Yerushalmi goes through and shows how the 10 commandments line up with the words of the Shema, and how each one of the commandments is somehow connected to one part of the Shema. So he's quoting us from that the commandment of lo sachmoed, which means not to covet. Right? Not to covet your neighbor's house, your neighbor's animals, your neighbor's spouse, all of these things, right? They are attached to and apply to which part of the Shema? Uchsavtam al mezuzos. Write it on your mezuzos. This thing of the disgusting desire for money, that you just look at your neighbors and you want everything that they have, right? Is connected in the Talmud Yerushalmi to which mitzvah that's listed in the Shema mezuzah. Because it's through the mezuzah that we're going to nullify our desire for money. Melach, mamon, chaser. Like we said before, it's going to be the salt that removes our desire for money. Remember, having this desire for money is bitterness. And what's the function of salt? Salt takes things that are bitter and we can't eat them, and is masakein them with the saf. Masakein them, fixes them up, that they become delicious, and it takes away that edge, that bitter edge, right? So too, we're seeing over here this inyan of bris is connected completely. The name of Hashem, Shin Daled Yud, Shakai, and mezuzah are connected to this concept of removing our negative relationship with money, like the Talmud Yerushalmi is telling us how it's connected to lo sachmoed, do not covet, and it's through this that all these things are coming together to remove this destructive negative relationship. There's a lot more to be said about the name Shin Daled Yud also, but I lost my notes. I have some good stuff to say. Well, we'll get it next time. V'zehu v'ziz, and this is what it means. So there's a pasuk that says v'ziz sadai imadi, that the bird of the field is with me. Pasuk says in Tehillim. This is what this pasuk is saying. V'zeh ziz hainu mamon sadai imadi. So if you take the word sadai, means my field. Sin Daled Yud. It's the same exact letters as Hashem, Shin Daled Yud. It mamish looks exactly the same. So v'ziz would be shakai imadi. Al yedei shmiras abris, through this idea of the name of Hashem, shakai, which is speaking to us about our healthy relationship physically between man and woman. Al yedei shmiras abris, al yedei mezuzah. We're going to get to this place of what was called Smach Zvulun. Do you remember what Smach Zvulun was? So you remember Yisachar and Zvulun. Yisachar was the one who sat and learned all day and engaged in Torah all the time, and Zvulun went out and took care of the money in a holy way and did it for the right reasons and was honest and good in business. And so, does it say Smach Yisachar be'oyalei Torah? I'm making that up. No, it doesn't say that. He's not the one who had the simcha. Who had the simcha? Zvulun. when Zvulun was dealing with money in a holy way and in an honest, good way, what did Zvulun have? Simcha. So he's saying over here, putting all these things together, the mezuzah and the name of Hashem, which indicates healthy relationships physically, and this connection to money, all those, when you combine all these things and work towards this, you enter the realm of Smach Zvulun. You're going to have a life of Simcha. Things are going to be good. This is what Chazal say. Uchsavtam, when it says about the mezuzah, you should write them on your doorpost. Sheyehei kasiva tama, that it has to be a complete writing. This over here in halacha is where we learn certain laws with regards to the writing of a mezuzah. Pardon me. And how you can't, for example, one of the things is you can't, for example, write and leave a space and then go back and fill in the space. It has to be all written out, like in order. There's a few different halachas that I have to go with over here. That's in the halachic level. But what's it saying over here? Your writing should be whole, complete, tama. Ze bechinas Yaakov ish tam. It's going on what in Bereshis the Torah calls Yaakov Avinu ish tam, a whole person. A person, he's a tam. He's mamash a tam, like the Chacham and tam. Ki al yadoi vayichaz panei ha'ir, vayichan panei ha'ir, because it's Yaakov. He's the one who went in. What did he do? He went to the city of Shechem, if you remember in our previous classes, and he did two things. They say either he was masaken matbeya, he established currency for them, or he's masaken mirchatzois, bathhouses. And we said, hold on a second, that's what you think it means? That's what they're praising Yaakov for, that he went and opened a bank and a Roman bathhouse? That's not what he did. He was masaken, he made a tikkun in the realm of currency, money, and he made a tikkun in the realm of bathhouses, mikvahs, which is where we become pure in these realms. He fixed up, he made whole and pure and tamim, and tamimus, the ideas of money and physicality, physical relationships. This is what he did. This was Yaakov. So Yaakov is called Ishtam, al yadoi tikkun hamatbeya. So that's why it means that the mezuzah, which represents all of this, has to be kasiva tama, the same word that's used to describe Yaakov, which means wholeness and completeness. Right? Tam is the same word the same word that describes the mezuzah is the word that describes Yaakov. And if you just think for 2 seconds, this is my own idea here. I'm not reading it over here, but this is when we go into these realms. When we go into these realms of desire for money and desire for monetary items and things and stuff, right? Why do we do that?
Filling a void.
Filling the void. We're not complete. We're not whole. We're not WHOLE. Rather, there's an HOLE that is totally empty. And we don't know how to fill it. So we fill it with this. Or we fill it with partners. Go out and find someone to be with that's not in a holy way, not in a good way. Sometimes it's b'davka, people who are not whole look for partners, sexual partners, who are dangerous and destructive to them. It's a weird tendency, right? But it's b'davka when we're not whole that we go after these things. And so the tikkun for this is the mezuzah has to be kasiva tama, has to be written whole. It has to be complete and whole. And it has, by the way, it has some aspects of it are even more stringent than the way you have to write a Sefer Torah, which makes no sense. And then who's the person who fixed these things up, who did all these things is Yaakov, who's called Ishtam. And he's also, I think we're going to say now, what did we say about the name Mezuzah? And the mem at the beginning and the taf at the end, and how the gematria of the middle ones make aleph. It's emes. Yaakov is also the person of emes. Titin emes leYaakov. He's the one who we call the person of emes. His midah is tiferes, which is the perfect balance between chesed and gevura. He is the whole, right? And that's the balance between chesed and gevura is also emes, is truth. So he's the one who represents wholeness and completeness. And when a person has these midas, there's no desire for stupid things with money. There's no desire for other physical partners. It's just not there. Because everything's whole, everything's complete. Right? Everything's good. Very special. Okay, let's keep going. This is what Chazal say also. She'arichas yamim al yedei mezuzah. That we can attain long life. Arichas yamim. Many days, long days, through the mitzvah of mezuzah. Why? Ki samuch le'uchsavtam. If everybody knows the Shema off by heart here, I'm sure you do. Right? We say uchsavtam al mezuzos beisecha u'bisharecha. And then we say laman yirbu yameichem. In order that your days should be lengthened, al haaretz asher Hashem nosein lecha, right? That Hashem gives you. So lengthening our days, long life, is written in the Shema right next to the commandment of mezuzah, of writing the mezuzah. So through this mezuzah also, not only are we going to have a healthy relationship with money and with sexuality, but we're going to have long life. Because through having emunah in business, Ba Or HaChaim. That's where now the Or HaChaim, now the light of life is going to come into us. This is the light of the face of Hashem also. Zeh she'amru, Mikra Nidrash Lafanov. This is what it said in the verses can be expounded based on what is before it. Right? Mikra Nidrash Lafanov. Meaning, if you have something written in the Torah, you can learn something of it based on what was written right before it. But Lafanav also means Lapanav, for the face. The Mikra, this can be darshaned. We can learn out from here something about this Or HaPanim. Right? Hainu, Bechinas Or HaPanim, Shu Simana Dechaya, which is a sign of life. It's the sign of life. Rachav, remember Rachav with the red string on the outside of her thing? She was a prostitute and then she became a holy woman. Right? She wanted a simana dechaya. She wanted to connect to chiyus, to the real life, to the Or HaPanim. So, arichas yamim. This is what we're talking about over here. Arichas yamim. Just something. Rabbi Nachman talks about arichas yamim in many places. But one of the things that just arichas yamim, it doesn't just mean to have a long life. It means that, let's say like this. How much of my life is meaningful and is kind of like, I'm going to say like worth it? How much of my life am I really doing something with? And how much of my life am I just, right? Did I just turn everything off? Nowadays it's very hard. There's too many things to pull us away from goodness. But you can have a person who goes through 10 years. And how much of that 10 years was really living, was really a good life? It could be a few days if you add up all the time. Right? That's not arichas yamim. That's living in death. But living in life means how do you feel after you spend a day where you accomplish things, and you accomplish things that are meaningful to you, right? We spoke about this the other day also. Living in the Chacham and Tam. If we're only going to feel good, we're only going to be happy with ourselves, be happy with our lot in life, if we're actually doing something that we're supposed to be doing. What does it mean we're supposed to be doing? It means, are we doing something meaningful? Am I living a meaningful life? Am I doing things that I know are good, that I know I should be doing? Am I doing what I know I should be doing? Because when I do those things, I feel good. I feel positive about my life. I feel like I'm doing good things, and it's a whole different existence, right? So those are the times that are called living. When I'm actually doing something that's good in the world, do something good, right? So I could have a whole week, and how much of that week was called living? How much of that week was called living a meaningful life? It was called fulfilling my purpose. Or at least working towards my purpose. How much of it? And how much of it was vegging? How much of it was binging on any one of all of these things that we're talking about over here? How much of it was laziness? And how much of it was meaningful? I've heard it said cleanliness is next to godliness. I don't know where that comes from. but cleaning is important and good. You should know in the Mesilas Yesharim, it's like a bunch of levels leading up to going from zero up to Ruach HaKodesh, and one of the levels is called cleanliness, nikius. Yeah, it's not usually referring to vacuuming, but let's say it could be. So Arichas Yamim, this is what we're talking about over here. It doesn't mean I need to live to 100 doing nothing. It means am I filling my days with goodness and meaningfulness? This is Arichas Yamim. So this is everything we're talking about over here. All of this stuff coming together. Another mezuzah halacha. The mezuzah is supposed to be put on in the upper third section of the door, right? And theoretically, it could go very high, but people like to put it. A really good place to put it is in like right at the bottom of that upper third section, so you can see it, and you can reach it, and you can always be in contact with it. I was thinking about it, like we're saying how the mezuzah is like it has a really strong connection to a positive relationship with money, right? And it's like, when a person leaves their house to go to work in the morning, let's say, for example, am I gonna be working with Masa Matan Be'emuna? Am I gonna be doing it right? Am I gonna have the right attitude and thoughts? So you go to work. I mean, probably I don't know if anyone here has to do it, but in some places you have to punch in your punch card, right? You have to do that. You leave the house, punch out. Okay, Hashem, I'm on the job. Masa Matan Be'emuna now, right? It's everywhere. And if it's your office, also you walk into your office, the mezuzah should be it should turn something on. I'm going now to be a good person. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be emunadik, right? Yeah, you like it?
Yeah.
Punching in, punching out with the mezuzah? Okay. So it has to be on the top third of the doorway. Ki amru Chazal say in the Gemara in Bava Metzia, La'olam yishalish adam es ma'isav shlish bepragmatia. So a person should in general split up his money into thirds. 1/3 he should be in business, and another third should be in hard real estate, karka, and another third should be in money, cash money. Says the Gemara. This is what a person should do. So, shlish elyon, hu ha-shlish shebeprakmatia, and the upper third is the third that has to do with business. Chazal say in the Gemara in the Yerushalmi, Tavin chamshin da'avdin mimasan da'le'avdin. It's better to have 50 producing is better than 200 sitting idle. So this is a funny statement, really, but it means that like people say nowadays. They say your money should be working for you, right? Like there's a lot of people like to use the word passive income nowadays. You should have your money sitting. It shouldn't just be sitting somewhere. It should be doing something. So it's better to have the Gemara is saying have this portion of your money that is involved in business, that is you're using to make more money, right? That's going to actually make you money. 50 in that position is better than 200 sitting under your mattress. Right, because this 50 is gonna, assuming you don't mess it up, is gonna make you money. Is gonna keep making you money, right? So what does that mean? That the third that's involved in business in that Gemara is the top third. Meaning what? That's the reason why the mezuzah on a deeper level should be on the top third of the doorway, because we have to remember that it's this idea of masa umatan be'amuna. That we have to get this through our heads, that when it comes to business, we have to be doing it with emunah. We have to be doing the right thing. It's very hard. I heard in the general name, I heard this from Rabbi Nosson Maimon, the general name of some of the older tzaddikim, that they would say, it's very easy for a person to look impressive, right? Like let's say they look very religious, okay? And even they do mitzvahs in public. Right? Or they're good at giving advice, or they're wise, or whatever it is they could see. People could put on an act, let's say, and they look great. Everyone thinks they're fantastic. But where do you really see the truth about a person? Is when it comes down to the money. When it comes down to the relationship with money. There, it's a huge Yetzer Hara. It's a huge pull. And so it's really something where you can see it very, very clearly. To the extent that all these things are being connected over here. The mezuzah, avodah zarah, right, on the other side. Avodah zarah, sheker, and impure relationships, and this terrible relationship with money is on one side. And on the other side, you have mezuzah, you have shleimus, completion, wholeness. You have ahava between husband and wife. You have masu matan b'emunah, money relationship with emunah and honesty, right? That's where the split is. So it's this dealing with our money and business in an honest way that is so important. It's one of these things that's going to take us and help us to do a tikkun in all of the other things because they're all connected. So leaving the house, punch out. Remember, I gotta be doing with emunah. Going to the office, I gotta punch in and know I'm gonna do stuff with emunah. I'm gonna do my business with emunah. Very important. You guys with me? Mm-hmm. No one wants to fight me tonight? No? Okay. I think, one second. Yeah, so that takes us to letter Hey. I think it's a little bit shorter than usual, but I think we should hold it there because it's the perfect spot. And in Mitzvah Hashem, we'll pick it up next time. Any questions, comments?